How are you guys doing? Recovering. Things have finally quieted down around here. Especially after... Yeah. Believe me, I desperately needed something to balance out all of that... badness. So, I decided to watch the Giver movie. Apparently, I'm a masochist. Yeah, shock of all shocks. The Giver movie was bad. Like, completely and utterly bad. Like, every single frame was a painful reminder of just how great the book was, and the failure to realize it for the silver screen. Which only hurts more because I absolutely love this book. It's one of the most important books to me. And no, you can't complain to me about how it's an adaptation. And you shouldn't expect it to follow everything in the book. I understand that completely. But guess what? That adaptation was bad. Crap. Bullshit. And you know why? Because this book's message is so beautiful and haunting that it helped shape my worldview. And to see it turn into this?
When people have the freedom to choose, they choose wrong.
Yeah, no, you are wrong. And here are the reasons why. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, my name is David Popovich, aka the Bookworm, and welcome to Bookworm Reviews. Sit back and relax as we dive into The Giver by Louise Lowry. So from the first sentence, you could tell that The Giver was published from a different time. For comparison, these are the first sentences from two recently popular YA books. When I wake up, the other side of the bed is cold. There is one mirror in my house. Compared to The Giver, it was almost December, and Jonas was beginning to be frightened. Yep, this children/YA book is written in third person. You don't see that often. Seriously, can anyone name me a book marketed for YA that was published after Twilight and was a bestseller without using first person? You probably have better luck winning the lottery. If The Giver had any chance of being published today, it probably would have started as I was frightened as the chill of December began to approach. But I can't harp about that. The Giver was published in 1993. The market was a completely different place back then. And I do like at least one of those books. The narration of the story is different. That's all. But that doesn't stop the plot from sounding like every other YA you've read if you didn't know when it was published. Okay, in the dystopian future... Yeah, get it out of your system. There is the community, where everything is perfect. No hunger, no war, no pain. Just sameness. There is no fear of fitting in, because community always knows what is best, making sure everyone is assigned to the proper jobs. How could someone not fit in? The community was so meticulously ordered, the choices so carefully made. But for Jonas, he is not assigned, but selected to one of the community's most honored positions. Jonas has been selected to be our next receiver of memory, where he will receive the memories of the world from the Giver.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
It's the memories of the whole world, he said with a sigh. Before you, before me, before the previous receiver, and generations before him. But as Jonas learns more and more about the world before, it reveals to him how much the community isn't as perfect as he once thought it was, bringing a change that Jonas can't take back. That sounds sounds like every other YA dystopian future out right now. So what makes The Giver so different? Well, because it doesn't follow any of the tropes associated with modern YA dystopia. Look at most dystopia marketed for YA today, and they all share a common theme. A grown-up society that took away something that our younger, more open-minded hero/generation must fight against, usually with some evil leader because we need a boss battle to bring back what was once lost. Clear-cut, black and white, good and evil that is easy to digest.
We dance, we kiss, we schmooze, we carry on, we go home happy. What do you say? Come on.
And The Giver completely ignores that. Again, this was written before any of those tropes became the standard, but it does show why The Giver still stands after over 20 years, while most others will be forgotten within the next decade. The story isn't about Jonas fighting against this evil society. It's a story about knowledge, both the good and the bad. How you can't block people off from how awful the world is. How some of the world's greatest pain comes out from its greatest pleasure. Get rid of that, and what you get is a shell of what the world is. And most unfortunate is that some people would like that. I don't want this knowledge. I don't want this burden. I don't want this world, and wish we could all forget it. Throughout the book, we see Jonas discover how much was taken away to make the communities just so they could have sameness. He found that he was often angry now, irrationally angry at his groupmates, that they were satisfied with their lives, which had none of the vibrance his own was taking on, and he was angry at himself that he could not change that for them. But also when he faces all the evil people would do to one another, and how scary it is that he will have to carry all this pain and will be unable to share it with anyone. Jonas did not want to go back. He didn't want the memories, didn't want the honor, didn't want the wisdom, didn't want the pain. He wanted his childhood again, his scraped knees and ball games. But it is through this that Jonas is able to grow, learn, and become wise. The book doesn't have a central villain because the villain is the social structure of the community. No one there is the bad guy. The things they do, in their eyes, is for the greater good. Without truly knowing what they are doing. You can't blame them because they are only the product, not the cause. And on top of it all, this is a children's book. While it can be debated if The Giver is YA, The Giver is and always will be a children's book. It won the Newbery Medal in 1994 because, like most other winners, it doesn't talk down to its audience. I remember reading the book back in middle school, as I'm sure a lot of you had. Reading The Giver was an eye-opener. The reason this is one of my most important books is because it showed me more about this world. That yes, there is evil in this world, but there is just as much good too. It's what gives us life, what makes life an adventure, and we need to accept that it exists. It's about how we shouldn't hide our children from the world so that they can stay as innocent for as long as possible, but be properly educated so they can understand that the world isn't in black and white, but through knowledge of the past can they understand, and with the help from others, build a better future instead of repeating the past. The ending for The Giver is one of my favorites. It's pretty much an Inception ending where you can never tell if it's a good or bad ending. It's open to interpretation that makes you think about the book well past putting it down. I have only read the book twice. Once back in middle school, and again for this review. The fact that this book still leaves an impact on me to this day from how little I actually had to read it shows how Louise Lowry created a story that is beautiful, compelling, and thought-provoking that challenges people of all ages. Unlike a certain generic, safe, samey movie that's ripping off the Hunger Games with a forced love interest, evil leader, and drone action, seriously, what the bloody hell? Sorry, I could spend an entire video complaining about this movie. Seriously, this book is one of the most frequently contested banned books. The last thing I should be saying about the movie is that it's safe and samey. Sorry! Getting off topic. The book. The book is awesome. If you haven't read it, read it now. If you haven't read it in a while, read it now. If you've only saw the movie, You definitely need to read it now. There's a reason most schools have this on their reading list. It's a short book, but it will leave you with an everlasting impact. Unlike that crappy movie. What about you, internets? What's your opinion about The Giver? That was cathartic. So, what next? And what the heck. Talking Dog Detective. Till next time. Have a nice day.